And here is the last but not least session of the day, and I would like to welcome Vlad, who is running product app analytics, and he will be talking about how to make data-driven decisions and how to extract as much data as you possibly can to make your product to evaluate your product better and to understand if you are succeeding in your monetization and in your any campaigns that you are running. So Vlad, please.
Hey guys, can you hear me? Everything's okay?
Yeah.
Great, so nice to be here.
Indeed. Thank you very much for taking your time and also coming up with a presentation there. So yeah, the floor is all yours. Let me just share your presentation now. And guys, if you have any more questions, feel free to pop them now in the chat or during the presentation or after it. And a second. There you go.
Yeah, great. So actually, I hope you are not that much exhausted now after the previous speakers, and I'll just summarize all our experience in my brief case, talking about the insights and app data and how to make actually better informed decisions in terms of app analytics. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. So when dealing with app analytics, it's never only about actual analysis of the data, but also about how you collect the data and how you actually make better informed decisions based on it. But when you just start to dig into these pillars and start digging more into app analytics, you just start to get more and more complexity and issues to cover. Like, for example, in terms of collecting the data, it's always about how to get more app-specific data, how to work with external sources of the data, and in terms of analyzing it, it's always about homogeneity and granularity of the data and how actually to build custom dashboards around it. So I'd like to cover in this presentation how we at AppFollow can help you with dealing with all those red zones and make them actually go green. And let's just dig into the collection of the data in terms of app-specific data and how to analyze it and make it homogeneous. Like year over year, we get a lot of app data sources, but at the same time, the paradox here is that actual app data collecting is getting more and more hard because you just have 2 points of this. First of all, you get all of this data from different sources, and the granularity there is like complex, like getting the data from consoles, third-party issues, like user-specific data from devices. And the second part here is, of course, the process of processing the data actually in a unified and comparable way. Anyhow, the ultimate goal here, and we also understand it at AppFollow, is how to minimize the amount of data sources that you use without losing the actual amount of data that you can actually work with. Like, let's say you want to process all the data from consoles into your Snowflake cloud solution, and after that, start analyzing it. But let's say you just want to deal with only App Store consoles. You can just go with them, but there are always some buts. First of all, like if you want to deal with App Store Connect, most of the data that you can get in the UI of the console is opt-in. Like let's say you want to go to the App Analytics data source, and you can see that only 1/3 of the data there is actually viewable, while it's also delayed by up to 3 days. Moreover, if you just want to work with raw data and exports the reports themselves, some data points can overlap or just can be lost in the reports themselves. Like when you work with the revenue data and you, for example, want to see the net revenue data, you actually see that there are 3 different reports in the App Store console, like summary sales, subscriptions, actually showing the after renewable subscription metrics and the sales event reports in general. There are like 10 plus metrics around revenue, and it gets pretty confusing and complicated if you, for example, don't have an analytics team or you just haven't been working with these reports at all. And even if jumping into Google Play Console, you can see some issues there, like, for example, tons of downloads metric from 5 to 7, depending on what type of app you have, or even some UI issues that you might get into. And some of our clients are actually telling us about that, how difficult it is to work with Google Play Console. Anyway, AppFollow is here to help you with all of that issues, and that's pretty much why we wanted to share with you our current experience in app analytics. That's why we built throughout the last year 2 main dashboards called Downloads and Revenue and now Subscriptions Report, where you can actually compare the data from both App Store consoles and stores where you can also get several download metrics that are not opt-in and that come right when they are in console, so no delays here. And last but not the least point for you to analyze them, and of course that all the data in these dashboards can actually be pulled via our API, exported as files, or got to you via email or Slack reports, which I believe can be kind of good for you. So when dealing with those data, we actually got some tips that I would like to share with you in terms of how you can actually analyze the data. And the first tip, of course, is look for dynamics for several indicators. Of course, when you get a lot of downloads metrics, download type metrics, there are some confusions. And of course, no need to watch for the one of them, like app units and App Store consoles. There are, of course, new downloads, app updates, promotional downloads in terms if you promote your app, and even organic downloads for ASO part. For example, in my own case, when I had an app and COVID and the lockdown ruined new downloads and acquisition for users of my app, it was actually solidified in terms of updates because I was updating my app, I was working around its core product features, and I still got my users solidified there. So I can still say that the trend is positive here. The second tip I would like to share with you is that you have to always keep in mind that consoles actually have those flows that I mentioned before, like not net but gross revenue, accurate downloads that comes only after 2 or 3 days in the consoles, and of course that opt-in part, of course, that you have to deal with always. The third tip that I would also like to share with you is that raw data and exporting is always the key, because even before mentioned subscriptions reports that you can get from consoles will give you actually tons of metrics that you can work and analyze, but web interface won't do that. But unfortunately, to work with them, you either need an analytics team or a lot of spare time to dig into, and AppFollow can actually help you here with getting all this scraped data into a beautiful dashboard for subscriptions report. And the last tip I would like to share with you, always keep in mind that comparing versions is like a good practice that can actually help you get a bird view level on all the metrics that you would like to compare and work with. So after covering in a brief way and making the green of the collection of app-specific data and analyzing the homogeneity part, we can see that there are some still red parts, especially in terms of external data, which data we can actually call external and helpful for our app analytics. We have our own approach at AppFollow, and I believe I can share it with you and make this also go green. Nowadays, this specific point of time, we at AppFollow believe that we can actually treat market trends as sort of say metrics. For that specific reason, we actually built benchmark for downloads needed to reach top 10 of a certain category. Let's say you want to get to top 10 in sports in the United Kingdom, and we can actually, using the open source data that we collect and the data shared by our users, made a machine learning algorithm that actually helps us get this estimate and show it to our users to actually understand how much acquisition money they have to spend, how much marketing efforts they need, or maybe ASO efforts to get the amount of downloads needed. The second part here of us dealing market trends as metrics is, of course, calculation the overall trend in downloads. This actually helps us to understand the dynamics of a certain category and help you in comparing your own trend of downloads with the category overall, to just understand where the floors and ups are comparable or just go opposite directions. And this actually might help you in the overall general understanding of how the category goes. And the last but not the least feature that I would also like to share with you is that our analytics team, based on the models that we use, based on the data that we actually collect now, on the market changes, like macro level changes, mobile news, and etc., that can actually be shared with you to help you make better informed decisions, like the ultimate goal of all of it. So after getting some external data for you and helping in this part of app analytics, we would also like to help you in building custom dashboards that might be helpful for you. For that specific case, we actually worked for several months around our AppFollow API, and actually can call it build for now for building your own dashboards. We have around 40 methods for ratings, ASO data, product metrics, which are easily authorizable, have flexible limitations, and the main part here, of course, that we can process any data point that you might get in our UI or in any dashboard that we have at AppFollow. We have specific use cases from our clients here. For example, some of them actually use our API to process the data straight into the cloud in Snowflake. Some users already build custom dashboards in Domo using our API, or some users just asked us to use and make web data connectors into Tableau because they actually match it with those CRMs like Salesforce and get the dashboard straight into Tableau. Anyway, we can connect any BI tool that you would like to and help you build your own custom dashboards there. Like, for instance, one of our clients built his dashboards in Tableau based on the downloads and revenue metrics that we helped him to process via Web Data Connector. And just on this example, you can see that simple chart of total downloads built via data from AppFollow. So what I actually wanted to say at the end is I believe that we can actually help you go green and making better informed decisions, and never hesitate to use all the data possible. And I believe AppFollow can actually help you with that. So that's all from my part. Thank you.
That was quick. Thank you very much, Vlad. So first, let's go to the questions from the chat. And Adona here is asking, is it possible through the AppFollow see not only data from stores, but more specific in-app data, for example, purchases from specific screen or section, click on buttons, like in Amplitude?
Yeah, I understand the question. So these custom-based events are collected by some of the analytics systems, but not in our case. We are on our way to make integrations with them to actually provide custom-built events from stores. But for now, we can only provide the general data like downloads and revenue that you already mentioned in your question. Yeah.
Okay, super. Thank you. Guys, if you have any more questions, hold on a second. If you have any more questions, feel free to pop them here as well. There were a few questions that that we received during the registration. So what are the 3 main metrics that you should look at when evaluating your app performance?
Oh, well, I believe that this question is always app-specific type of one, because it actually depends on how you monetize your app, how you promote it, etc. But answering generally, I believe that the first one will anyhow be install-based metrics, all the stuff around downloads, new downloads, updates of your app, just to get in touch with your core user base, understanding how much you acquire, how much you lose, and all that stuff. The second one, which is actually close to the first one, I believe will be retention-based metrics, both in terms of your user retention, subscription retention, and etc. And the third one, I believe, like any metric that you would like to choose in terms of bird level view, like the amount of revenue per download, or maybe the amount of ratings with replies, if you are actually interested in getting that stuff. So yeah, I actually do believe that the answer on this question is like specific for each type of app and how it's monetized and acquires its users here.
Okay, but yeah, in general, it will be a number of downloads, a subscription, and the third one would be users, I believe, right? Or like app rating, if we were talking about AppFollow.
Yeah, so to say, yes.
Okay, super. Yeah, the other question from the registration form was again about iOS 14. And so here, what would be the alternative ways? Like, can mobile app developers understand with the help of AppFollow the performance of their campaigns, whether with the IDFA coming or not?
Well, I believe that this question is even more complex than the previous ones, and Ilya actually kind of answered on it as well, because I believe the way for here, in terms of follow helping app developers and app developers helping themselves, is to switch on Apple search ads, because yeah, MMPs will try to change those models on like prediction-based models, more ML stuff, and predictive analytics in terms of getting the campaigns data. But in our case, in case of AppFollow, I believe working with their chats will be the answer on IDFA changes. And I believe that's like the only way in terms of app analytics how we can actually help in a not so distant future for our users.
Okay, thank you very much. I see a few more questions here from Steve and Sai. I think they're referring, they were meant for Ilya, but so yeah, we will follow up with you on that. And there is also an exchange of the kind of best practices between Steve.
Oh, great! I see that one, Steve.
Yeah.
Really good solution here.
They build a platform for a base Prosthetic Studio for the app, and using it together with the platform. Steve, if you can share this with people on our Slack, the general channel or any other channel, we would really appreciate to see how you do this, so we can also recommend this and or refer them to you, so you can help our clients as well. I think that if there are no other questions here, I think that would be it. Thank you so much, Vlad, and
Thank you so much, Ludo.
thank you very much, all of you guys who stayed here until the end. You will receive a recording of the meetup before the end of this week. So you know where to find us if you have any more questions or would like to try new features, would like to arrange a demo, and you need any help from our side to go through our new design of the private area or anything there. That's it for today. Thank you again and have a great day. Bye.